get their weapons into play. But Pain and Agony were not going to give it to them. Pain caught one of them by the wrist as he went for his 9mm. The man twisted like a human pretzel as Pain broke his wrist, dropping him in front of the couch. Agony flicked her baton in a figure-8 pattern so fast it was almost invisible. 2 men went down, although one of them managed to pull his trigger first. A lamp exploded behind her.
I don't think it's unfair at all. I'm looking out for you, big guy.
Pain grunted. If you say so. Another gang member fired a burst, but Pain pushed the man's arm up and drove him backward into the wall. He sprayed the ceiling with bullets. A moment later, his head was through the plaster. He slumped back, unconscious and dangling from the hole in the wall. Another gang member took several shots at Agony. She didn't appreciate that, especially considering his unprofessional marksmanship. Her baton hit him in the throat, and he collapsed with a gurgling choke. The living room where the street gang members had been hanging out was clear. The narco gangsters would be a bigger problem, at least in theory. Agony stepped over a gang member lying on the floor with his arms around his head, making a sound like an injured puppy.
Oh, come on, Pain. You know it as well as I do. Amy is not cut out for this lifestyle. Just because she's your old partner's widow doesn't mean...
She paused. Someone repeatedly fired from the hallway past the living room. Little holes appeared in the walls. A window shattered.
Hold on a sec.
With a flick of her wrist, the baton sailed down the hall in a blur of rotating metal. The gunfire stopped. Show off! Pain pushed past her, unwilling to let Agony have all the fun. The man in the hallway wore a white suit, which was a pity now that blood poured out of his mouth and stained the fabric while he lay unconscious on the floor. Pain picked up the baton and handed it back to Agony. I'm not saying she's a hard case like you, although I would like to point out she survived getting shot. She's not exactly soft. Another narco turned the corner, yelling something Pain didn't understand. The man's gun barked once or twice, but his aim was high, and the only thing he did was punch holes in the plaster. Pain hit the man in the face and dropped him. He caught his handgun in mid-air and tossed it casually over his shoulder and down the hallway.
I never said she was soft.
Agony sounded indignant.
You know, this is quite a lifestyle we have here.
They entered the kitchen, where drug dealers and gang members crouched behind a fallen table with their guns drawn. Who the fuck are these guys? Yelled one of the gang members, firing in Pain's general direction. Pain moved. He grabbed a bottle from the shelf behind him and hurled it at the gang member. It exploded, drenching the drug dealers in a spray of rum, blood, and broken glass. Agony's leather boot contacted a narco's face, knocking him out instantly.
I'm not a guy,
she snarled indignantly. The man she had kicked was not the one who had called her a guy, but she wasn't concerned with the details. Pain chuckled. It was an honest mistake on his part. Not that he cares. The man in question was sprawled out on the kitchen floor, his face peppered with the shards of the exploding rum bottle. The remaining gang members scrambled for the staircase, but Pain caught him by the neck. Where do you think you're going? The gang member yelped toward the stairs, and Pain assumed he was trying to alert his other narcos. Pain brought a fist to the top of the man's head and knocked him out, but the damage was done. Whoever was upstairs must have heard all the gunfire. The only plus side was that they had no reason to dump the drugs if they thought this was a simple home invasion to steal their stash.
I'm on it.
Agony sprinted to the second floor, drawing her gun as she ran. Pain followed her but didn't bother picking up any firearms. He was more interested in resolving their ongoing debate.